Okay, we have a really brief presentation about advocacy training by Dave and John because their directors are too long-winded. So, so if we can kind of have a seat here, let's do this, and then we'll break for lunch after that. So, yeah, so I'm going to introduce Dave Rose here. Dave is a longtime board member of the Alaska Coalition on Housing and Homelessness, our board treasurer out of the Mat-Su Valley, and also the board or the director of the Mat-Su Coalition on Housing and Homelessness. Is that how you guys say it?
Close.
Mat-Su Housing Homeless Coalition.
Close again.
Okay. You all have different, can't we all agree on one?
You're cutting into my time.
Okay, all right, I'm out of here.
This is how you should see a presentation from Brian Wilson. So, I'm supposed to be clicking now. Where's the clicker? He took the clicker. Oh, here we go. I'm the coordinator with the Mat-Su Coalition on Housing and Homelessness, and this is John Rossi, the chair of our coalition. We've been meeting since 2008, and as soon as the plan to end homelessness came out, 10-year plan back then, that was in 2008, do the math, we had a great time. And we've been meeting, and we've been brainstorming, and we've been doing all sorts of actions to make things happen. But I talk too much. Mr. Rossi.
That was advocacy?
That was it.
And you took the click? What's going on here?
Go ahead.
Over on that table are pieces of literature from Terry Tibbett. How many people have taken that advocacy training from Terry Tibbett? Raise your hand. Holy cow, I thought it'd be the whole room. Terry Tibbett is with the Alaska Mental Health Trust Authority, and she is wonderful with this particular training, and this is where this came from. On that table are the slides for this PowerPoint that you see. What I wanted to particularly talk about is when you set up a meeting with a policymaker, you want to, first of all, make that appointment, but you need to go online and you need to see what they're all about, what it is that they do, what their hobbies are, what their interests are. I've got a sheet here from Shelley Hughes that talks about her interests, talks about her hobbies, talks about her background. All the legislators have this kind of data, and you need to find out about them before you go and see them, so you can. It's a way that you can break the ice and get to know them a little bit better. Start that conversation. For example, with Senator Giesel, she has 6 grandkids. I have 6 grandkids too. So I'm going to talk a little bit about grandkids. If I get the opportunity to see her, we're going to drop in and hopefully we get to see her while we're here. The other thing, we keep talking about personal stories, and that's important. You want to get that personal story out to your legislator. Whether it's you or somebody else that you know, talk about that personal story because they relate to that quite a bit. Yesterday when we were talking to Senator Keel, I related a story about reentry, about the effect that it has when somebody gets taken and put into pretrial. Just for a short period of time, they lose their job, they lose their housing, they lose lots of things in just a very short period of time. And if the employer's not willing to keep that job open for them, it's devastation, just for that short period of time. So I communicated that story to Senator Keel. We talked about the challenges and successes. Again, this particular slide that I'm pulling from is over here, and we left him with an ask. What is it that he can help us with? And this was a very unique ask, because what we did is we are here to advocate for housing and homelessness. So we asked him if he can give us suggestions of some people that we can go see that are key players in the legislature. And the very first person that he mentioned was David Wilson, Senator Wilson, who we just happened to have an appointment with right after seeing him. And we saw Senator Wilson. We asked the same kind of questions. Who is it that we could see that's going to have an impact on asking for support for housing and homelessness? He gave us some names. We're going to be seeing those folks today and tomorrow. So even if we don't have an appointment, We're going to drop by, give them some literature, thank them for their support, do whatever we can to talk with that staff member. Maybe we'll get lucky and talk with them as well. But we're going to be very aggressive at going and seeing people. Get to know these folks before you go see them so that you have a good conversation. Okay? Thank you. I'm going to short so Dave can talk. And anybody have flags in the back so we can cut him off?
How many of you have a cell phone? Okay. How many of those are smartphones? All right. Go to alaskalegislature.com or .gov. Yeah. And there they have a list of all of your legislators. How many of you have got a mom or a dad? Oh, everybody, good. We're gonna bump up here to page 25 on the presentation. 21, excuse me, page 21. So forward the presentation to 21. We'll take questions in a minute. We've only got 5 minutes, and it's before lunch. I don't know if you noticed or not. And, you know, that's the best time because everybody's going to stick around for lunch, which is good. When you go in to talk to your policymaker, when you go in to talk to your legislator, you need to be able to give them what it is you're interested in. What is it your ask is? And you really want to have it in a 1-minute kind of a thing. I love this postcard idea. I love the little video idea because it's all about practice, okay? I want you to remember back to when you were a little kid and Christmas was just around the corner. What did you have down pat? You didn't even know what an elevator speech was back then. But you remember now, I see some smiles around the room. You had a list of maybe 15 things, but you shortened that list to 3 things that you wanted for Christmas. Okay, it's not Christmas, and it's not for you, but it's the same kind of thing. We need to narrow it down. What are the 3 things? What are the 2 things? What's the one thing your community cannot do without when you go to talk to your legislator? You need those HAP dollars. You need them where they were or expanded. I got news for everybody, which is not a news flash. We're not going to get more money, but it doesn't hurt to ask for more money because then maybe we'll get the money we had been getting. And why is that money important? Give them a story or 2. Tell them that you've housed 20, 10, 5, 3 people, whatever the number is, and then tell them the story. I have the privilege of working with Adam Pollock, a great case manager in the Mat-Su Valley. I know it was a good visit when a client comes in and Adam's got tears in his eyes as they leave. Or more often than not, the client does because they say, I can't believe you're helping me this much. I can't believe you're helping me this much. And it's not money, it's referrals, it's ideas, it's hope. It's moving them to where they can be self-sustaining. I got one last thing I want to tell you. And this has worked for me with legislators. Where do you go when you're trying to figure something out? Where do you go? What do you do when you've got a problem? In your family, in your job, with your friends? What do you do when you've got a problem? You sit back and think. You talk to people. You try to get centered. You pray. You do those things that you do to try and problem solve your own problems. Where do you do that? What's the physical location most of the time? It's at home. Where do you do it if you're homeless? You don't. Which is why so many of our homeless folks self-medicate. Because when you're in the car and it's 15 below zero and you're on 1/8 of a tank of gas and it's only 11 o'clock at night, you're trying to figure out, how am I going to stay warm through the night? How am I going to wake up to turn the car on, to turn the heater on? And you're not, I was going to say, and then you're trying to think of where you're going to get more gas tomorrow. But you're not even thinking about that. You're thinking about your toes. You're thinking about your fingers. And if you're a mom or a dad, you're thinking about your kid. That's the reality we want some of our legislators to be aware of. Because you know what? We have some wonderful legislators, don't get me wrong. but rarely will you find one of them who has experienced homelessness. A couple of them. The only way they're going to know about it, the only way they're going to know the reality of it, is if you talk with them.